Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. We are standing just steps away from a brand new year, a brand new chapter, and a brand new opportunity to rewrite the story of your life. You keep waiting for a big miracle, a big moment, a big breakthrough. But let me teach you something today. Your life doesn't change because of big moves. It changes because of small, consistent, disciplined decisions made every single day. You want 2026 to look different. Then you got to start doing different. You can't take the same habits, the same mindset, the same excuses into a new year and expect your life to transform. It doesn't work like that. Change doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right little things over and over without quitting. Small daily habits compound into major life transformations, but most people underestimate the power hidden inside the smallest choices they make every single day. They think transformation requires some giant leap, some massive risk, or some dramatic event that will suddenly change everything. But the truth is far simpler, far quieter, and far more within reach. Your life today, your confidence, your health, your relationships, your finances, your mindset is nothing more than the result of the habits you have been repeating over and over, sometimes deliberately, sometimes unconsciously. People rarely notice how these tiny behaviors create momentum over time, but they shape your character, your discipline, and the direction your life moves in. A 1% change may feel meaningless today, but repeated daily, it becomes a completely different lifestyle, a different identity, and eventually, a different destiny. Every day you make choices that look small, but carry massive influence over your future. You decide whether you wake up early or hit the snooze button. You decide whether you speak kindly to yourself or allow negativity to control your thoughts. You decide whether you study something new or waste another hour scrolling. You decide whether you take care of your body or treat it like it doesn't matter. Each choice seems small by itself, but these choices are votes cast toward the type of person you are becoming. The magic is not in doing something huge. It is in doing something small consistently. What feels insignificant in the moment becomes powerful when repeated thousands of times. That is how growth works. It is not about intensity. It is about consistency. When you understand this principle, you realize that nothing is stopping you from transforming your life by 2026. You don't need to wait for a new year, a better situation, more motivation, or the perfect plan. You can start right now with small actions that take less than 5 or 10 minutes a day. It might be reading a few pages of a book, walking for 15 minutes, writing down your goals, practicing gratitude, learning one new skill, or doing one task you have been avoiding. Doing these small actions every day builds self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of every major success story. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, you begin to believe in your ability to change your life. That belief becomes your fuel. People often quit their goals, not because the goals are too big, but because they try to change everything all at once. They overwhelm themselves and then feel like failures when they can't maintain that unrealistic intensity. But if you shift your approach to small, sustainable habits, habits so easy you cannot excuse your way out of them, you create momentum. Momentum turns into identity. Identity turns into lifestyle, and lifestyle turns into results. This is why small habits matter. They are realistic, possible, and repeatable enough to build a lifetime of success. Another reason small habits are powerful is that they rewire your brain. When you repeat a behavior, even a small one, your brain creates stronger neural pathways. Over time, those pathways automate the behavior, making it easier to do without thinking. That is why brushing your teeth takes no effort, but starting a workout plan feels overwhelming. One is a habit engraved through repetition. The other is still unfamiliar. But if you show up daily, even for a few minutes, the unfamiliar becomes natural. Before long, what once felt difficult becomes part of who you are. Small habits also shift your mindset. You gain clarity, discipline, and confidence because you're proving to yourself that you control your actions, not your excuses. Transformation is not a moment. It is the accumulation of thousands of small wins. Each small habit is a seed planted in your future. And every seed, when nurtured consistently, grows into something bigger than you expected. Consistency matters more than motivation or intensity because motivation comes and goes and intensity burns out quickly, but consistency builds strength that lasts. People often start their goals with excitement, passion, and high energy, believing that strong momentum beginning will carry them to the end. But what truly determines your success is not how loudly you begin, but how quietly you continue. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings change with your mood, your environment, your stress, or even the weather. Consistency, on the other hand, is a decision, a commitment that does not need permission from your emotions. When you learn to act even on the days when you don't feel like it, you unlock a level of discipline that separates successful people from everyone else. The truth is, intensity is easy. Anyone can work hard for a day, a week, or a short burst of time. It's easy to go to the gym for 2 hours once, but harder to go for 20 minutes every day. It's easy to read for an hour when you're excited, but harder to read 10 minutes daily when your mind is tired. It's easy to eat healthy for 1 week, but harder to keep small, consistent habits that nourish your body long term. This is why consistency wins. It creates a stable rhythm in your life. It gives your goals structure. It builds momentum. And momentum becomes a force that makes progress feel natural instead of forced. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up even when your effort is imperfect. So many people quit because they miss a day or slip back into old habits, and they decide they failed. But failure only happens when you stop moving. Consistency means you get back up, you realign, you continue forward, even if the pace is slow. It's not the people who run the fastest who win. It's the people who refuse to stop. Every day you show up, even a small way, you make progress that compounds over time. And over months and years, that progress becomes transformation. When you are consistent, your mind begins to trust you. You build reliability within yourself, and that reliability becomes confidence. Confidence doesn't come from believing you can do everything. It comes from knowing you will follow through with what you decide. And the only way to build that kind of trust is through repeated action. Every time you honor your commitments, no matter how small, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. That identity makes it easier to stay disciplined, creating a cycle of success driven by consistency, not emotion. Consistency also reduces overwhelm. When you break big goals into small, repeatable actions, they no longer feel impossible. You shift from thinking about the mountain to focusing on the next step. Suddenly, writing a book becomes writing 1 page a day. Getting fit becomes a daily 20-minute routine. Improving your mindset becomes reading or journaling for a few minutes each morning. These small actions add up, and because they're manageable, you're far more likely to stick with them. Over time, those small actions create massive achievements. Another powerful benefit of consistency is that it builds habits, and habits shape your life more than motivation ever will. Your habits determine your energy, your thoughts, your work ethic, your discipline, your relationships, and your opportunities. When you practice something consistently, your brain begins to automate the behavior. It becomes easier, smoother, and more natural. Eventually, what once took effort becomes effortless. And this is when transformation truly begins. You no longer rely on motivation. You rely on routine. Consistency is also what attracts opportunities. When people see your commitment, they trust you more. When you keep showing up in your craft, your skills improve. When you stay consistent in your relationships, trust deepens. When you consistently refine your mindset, your decision-making strengthens. People often think luck is random, but most luck comes from being consistent enough to be in the right place with the right skills at the right time. In the journey toward 2026, consistency will take you further than any burst of motivation ever could. It will carry you through the days when you feel tired, discouraged, or uninspired. It will strengthen you mentally and emotionally. And most importantly, it will help you maintain progress long enough to see the results you once only dreamed about. Your mindset must shift before your results can shift, because everything in your life begins in your mind long before it appears in your reality. The way you think shapes the way you act, and the way you act shapes the life you live. People often try to change their circumstances without changing their thinking, and they wonder why nothing improves. They try to get new results with the same old beliefs. They work toward big goals while still carrying small thinking. They want growth, but they remain attached to their fears, doubts, and limitations. Transformation never starts on the outside. It begins internally, in the invisible space where your thoughts, beliefs, and self-image lie. When you upgrade your mind, you automatically upgrade your behavior. When you upgrade your behavior, your life begins to transform. The truth is that your mindset is the lens through which you interpret every situation. If your lens is fogged with negativity, insecurity, and fear, you will see obstacles everywhere. But if your mindset is shaped by strength, possibility, and purpose, you will see opportunity even in difficult moments. Two people can face the same challenge, but their mindset determines whether they break under pressure or rise above it. A strong mindset turns problems into lessons, and lessons into breakthroughs. A weak mindset turns small setbacks into reasons to quit. This is why the foundation of any major success is mental. You cannot live a life bigger than the thoughts you continuously feed yourself. Your mindset also controls what you believe you deserve. Many people never step into their full potential because they secretly feel unworthy. They shrink themselves. They doubt their abilities. They tell themselves stories like, "I'm not good enough," "I can't do this," or "people like me don't succeed." These beliefs act like invisible barriers, stopping them long before life ever does. But the moment you shift your mindset to believe you are capable, deserving, and strong enough to handle the journey, everything changes. Opportunities you once ignored become reachable. Goals you once feared become exciting. Challenges you once avoided become stepping stones. A mindset shift is about repeating positive words. It's about rewiring the way you interpret the world. It is choosing to replace excuses with responsibility, fear with courage, and doubt with conviction. It is teaching yourself that progress matters more than perfection. It is understanding that failure is not final. It is simply a sign that you are growing. It is reminding yourself that every person who achieved greatness once started with uncertainty, but they kept moving because their mindset allowed them to believe in something better. Your mind is also influenced by the information you consume and the people you surround yourself with. If you constantly listen to negativity, gossip, hopelessness, or discouraging voices, your mindset will weaken. But if you feed your mind with learning, growth, encouragement, and clear direction, your mindset strengthens. Changing your environment is often a crucial part of shifting your thinking. Sometimes the biggest obstacle is not your ability. It is the people around you who don't see your potential. When you surround yourself with dreamers, doers, and believers, your mind begins to stretch, expand, and adopt a higher standard. Another essential part of shifting your mindset is reshaping your inner dialogue. The conversations you have with yourself determine your decisions long before your actions do. If your inner voice tells you it's too late, too hard, or too impossible, you will move through life with hesitation. But when your inner dialogue becomes supportive, encouraging, and determined, you begin acting with confidence. You must learn to interrupt negative thoughts and replace them with a mindset that supports your goals. Your inner voice should be your coach, not your critic. A powerful mindset also knows how to focus. Your attention determines your direction. When you focus on problems, you feel stuck. When you focus on progress, you feel motivated. When you focus on gratitude, you feel strong. The ability to direct your thoughts is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. You don't have to control everything in your life, but you must control what you give your mental energy to. A wandering mind filled with worry and distraction will sabotage your path, but a disciplined mind will push you further than any external motivation ever could. Once your mindset shifts, your standards shift. You no longer tolerate laziness, negativity, procrastination, or environments that drain your potential. You start expecting more from yourself because you believe more is possible. This internal shift leads to new habits, new choices, and new results. Discipline is the bridge between your potential and your breakthrough, because potential alone means nothing without the structure and commitment to turn it into action. Every person has potential, dreams, gifts, and ideas, but only a small number ever see those things become real, because discipline is what separates the dreamers from the achievers. You can have talent, intelligence, creativity, and ambition, but if you lack discipline, all of it stays trapped inside you. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being responsible with the abilities you have been given. It is choosing what matters over what is easy, choosing long-term reward over short-term comfort, choosing growth over excuses. And when you make those choices consistently, you build the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you want to be. Discipline is not a feeling, it is a decision you remake every day. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going long after the excitement fades. Discipline tells you to wake up when the alarm rings, even if you are tired. Discipline pushes you to practice your craft, even when progress feels slow. Discipline helps you say no to distractions, even when they feel tempting. Discipline holds you accountable when nobody is watching. It is the internal structure that keeps your life moving in the right direction, especially when life becomes difficult. Without it, your potential remains nothing more than a thought. Something you could have done, something you could have become, something you could have achieved, but never did. Discipline also reveals who you truly are. It shows your character. It exposes your priorities. When you consistently show up for yourself, you build trust in your own ability to follow through. Self-trust is one of the greatest forms of power, because once you trust yourself, you stop depending on outside factors to push you forward. You no longer wait for encouragement, approval, or permission. You create your own momentum. This kind of internal power is what leads to breakthroughs. Breakthroughs rarely come from a single big moment. They come from accumulated effort. They come from doing the right thing over and over until you finally reach a point where everything aligns. Another reason discipline is so powerful is because it builds habits that support your future success. When you repeat disciplined behavior, your brain begins to automate it, reducing the effort required. What once felt difficult becomes manageable, and what was once manageable becomes natural. For example, waking up early is hard at first, but with discipline it becomes routine. Reading daily can feel challenging initially, but discipline turns it into a habit. Exercising, saving money, working, studying, these all require discipline in the beginning, but over time discipline transforms them into part of your identity. And once something is part of your identity, you no longer have to fight yourself to do it. This is how discipline reshapes your life from the inside out. Discipline is also what helps you overcome obstacles. Challenges are inevitable, setbacks are unavoidable, and life will not always go according to plan. But discipline gives you resilience. It teaches you how to keep moving forward even when things feel heavy, confusing, or unfair. A disciplined person learns how to adapt without giving up. They understand that setbacks are not signals to stop, but opportunities to grow stronger. When you have discipline, adversity becomes something you navigate through instead of something that stops your progress entirely. Another important truth is that discipline protects your time. In a world full of distractions, procrastination, and unhealthy habits, discipline becomes your shield. It helps you eliminate what does not matter and stay focused on what truly does. Without discipline, you waste hours doing things that do not move your life forward. With discipline, you direct your energy toward the actions that bring the greatest results. This focused approach speeds up your progress and brings you closer to your breakthrough faster than you expect. Lastly, discipline gives you freedom. Most people think discipline restricts them, but the opposite is true. When you discipline your mind, you gain emotional freedom. When you discipline your time, you gain life freedom. When you discipline your finances, you gain financial freedom. When you discipline